Thank you, Hans, as always. And good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia Online, a congregation striving to embody courageous love, radical welcome, and deep connection. We are so grateful to be gathered this morning as we are reminded that our church is not a building, but a beloved community of all of the ways that we are connected. I'm the Reverend Molly Housh Gordon, the minister of this congregation, and I am so glad to welcome you to our community. Although we all miss gathering in person on Sundays, our online services have given us an opportunity to welcome and connect with folks we might not have met otherwise. We always welcome, in particular, the members of the Jefferson City Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, as well as all of you in Missouri and beyond. A few comments about protocol for today's online worship. We are in Zoom and streaming live on Facebook. For those of you with us on Zoom, we're in webinar mode, so we cannot hear or see you. Feel free to eat your breakfast in your PJs. Don't worry if your day is a bit noisy. Today, for our cozy winter solstice service, maybe you want to be in bed wrapped up in blankets and comforters. That is great. You will be able to say hello and interact with the service on Zoom through the chat feature and on Facebook in the comments. If you're with us on Zoom, make sure you select panelists and attendees so everyone can see your comment. This will be particularly useful during the time of sharing joys and sorrows. We have a few notes about accessibility. We are using Zoom's new native auto captioning service, which means that you will see automatically generated subtitles at the bottom of your screen. You will have several options for these if you click the closed caption button that should appear at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you do not wish to see subtitles or find them distracting, you can use the hide subtitles option at that button to turn them off. If you prefer your captions to appear as a live transcript at the side of the screen, you can choose view full transcript in the same menu. We know that auto captioning is never entirely accurate, but we hope it will be close. We'd love your feedback about how this feature works for you, and we'll keep using and tweaking it. You will also hear spoken descriptions of the videos that we use before we show them. And we'd like to invite you to please contact us if you have any other accessibility or inclusion needs that we can strive to meet in our online worship. You can email me at minister@uucomo.org. If this is your first time worshiping with us, we'd like to invite you to fill out a visitor's card in a digital visitor's card that's going to be posted in the chat. And that will allow us to get to know a little bit about you and let you know a little bit about us. As always, I'd like to thank the folks that make our online worship possible. Thank you to today's worship associate, Jeff Ordway, and to our staff always, April Rodiguero running slides, religious educator Jamila Batchelder, music director Jeremy Wagner, and collaborative pianist Hans Hareth. Our prelude this morning, as we approach the winter solstice, is an original song by singer-songwriter Leah Morris entitled Honor the Dark. In the following video, the background image is of a dark blue sky with stars, and there are 3 different images of the artist moving along to the music that are superimposed on top of the starry sky. The artist is a Black woman with very short hair and glasses, and in one of the images, she is signing ASL lyrics. Please enjoy our prelude.
Honor the dark as you do the light. Receive the gifts that come to us by day and by night. I choose to honor the dark, uncertainty and change. Deliver us from fear until only love remains. Honor the dark, as you do the light. Receive the gifts that come to us by day and by night. I choose to honor the dark, uncertainty and change. Deliver us from fear until only love remains. Honor the dark as you do the light. Receive the gifts that come to us by day and by night. I choose to honor the dark, uncertainty and change. Deliver us from fear until only love remains. Honor the dark as you do the light. Receive the gifts that come to us by day and by night. I choose to honor the dark, uncertainty and change. Deliver us from fear until only love remains. Honor the dark.
Our opening words this morning are a Winter Solstice poem by the Reverend Rebecca Parker, which we have set to video with images of candles, a city at dark, waving trees at night, and lots of starry skies.
Perhaps for a moment, the typewriters will stop clicking. The wheels stop rolling. The computers desist from computing. And a hush will fall over the city. For an instant in the stillness, the chiming of the celestial spheres will be heard as Earth hangs poised in the crystalline darkness. And then, gracefully, tilts. Let there be a season when holiness is heard, and the splendor of living is revealed. Stunned to stillness by beauty, we remember who we are and why we are here. There are inexplicable mysteries. We are not alone. In the universe there moves a wild one whose gestures alter Earth's axis toward love. In the immense darkness everything spins with joy. The cosmos enfolds us. We are caught in a web of stars, cradled in a swaying embrace, rocked by the holy night, babes of the universe. Let this be the time we wake to life, like spring wakes in the moment of winter solstice.
Our gathering hymn is number 55, led in the following video by Christopher Watkins Lamb, music director at Foothills UU Church in Colorado. The video is a time lapse of sunset and sunrise and pictures a snowy hillside beginning in bright sunlight and then sinking into orange sunset and dark before rising back to sunrise. The lyrics of the hymn are overlaid on the video in text that looks like blue and white typewriter keys. The lyrics will also be posted into the chat, and I invite you to join in singing from home.
Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal, gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Darkness soothe my weary eyes, that I may see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries, comfort and caress me, and then my soul may hear a voice, a still small voice of love eternal. Darkness when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me. Darkness when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me.
We come now to our chalice lighting and words of affirmation. As we share an image of our church chalice, you may wish to light a candle at home or look in the chat for a digital chalice. Amy Brooks writes, even as the days grow shorter and our homes shrink smaller and our wicks burn lower and our will to endure flickers, we light this chalice to kindle a flame of warmth as a reminder of the connection that draws us into a community that opens us up. In gratitude for the breath in our lungs, the love in our hearts, and for the gift of this day, alive. Will you please join me in lifting your voices in homes across our city, country, and world to share our weekly words of affirmation shown on the slide and shared in the chat. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Our centering moment is a Winter Solstice meditation by Reverend Lynn Cox. I invite you to ground yourself by feeling where your body connects to the ground, where it connects to the good earth through the floor or the furniture around you, and to close your eyes for imagining the scenes that Reverend Cox describes. We pause as the path of the sun reverses, seemingly holding its place for a moment of turning. Let us delve into the gifts of darkness at the winter solstice. We follow curiosity and contemplation down into the cold earth, taking a journey to the world below the surface. Here we find acorns cached by squirrels and chipmunks, perhaps to be food laid in store, or perhaps to become trees in the fullness of time. We find the burrows of hibernating animals, those who sleep and repair. We find seeds, including some that will not sprout unless they first wait through frost and ice. Life finds rest and renewal in the darkness. May those who are weary find comfort. May those who are struggling find meaning and companionship. May those who are injured or ill find recovery. May those who hunger find abundance. Let this be a time of healing. May the dreams of the dark lead us to share these gifts with one another. Our imagination rises back to the surface, to life where the cold ground meets the crisp air. Here we observe life finding its way. We observe animals eating seeds left on the ground, though the harvest is long past. We notice the migration of birds, natural movement that allows populations to find places where they can thrive. We observe the trees that appear to sleep and yet hold sap that will rise again before the spring arrives. We observe that not everything lives through the winter, and yet all that has lived returns to the earth and is transformed. Let this be a time of resilience. May the changing seasons bring new meaning and new insights. May creativity and persistence lead us to find resources for all to share. May those who migrate find safety, and may there be good news in the wind. May transformation lead us onward. We now lift our imagination to the sky, to the returning sun, and to the brilliant winter night. Shifting hours of light and darkness remind us that change is a part of the rhythm, and acknowledging the gifts of darkness, we also look forward to the growing light, a change that brings glimmers of hope. We marvel at the beauty of this time. Stars unobstructed by leaves, jewels of the night shining over the land, moon and meteors inspiring us to awe and to wonder. Let this be a time of celebration. What joy can be found, let us hold it close, blow on its embers, and share its spark. We do not take for granted having come this far, and we give thanks for our companions on the journey. We continue our meditation in silence.
Giving thanks for our companions on the journey, we now share the joys and sorrows and prayers of our community. Let us take a moment to hold one another in heart across the distance, remembering our connections and feeling that we are accompanied by beloved community amid life's sorrows and joys alike. I will begin by sharing the joys and sorrows submitted at our website, and then I will invite those gathered to share your joys and sorrows in the chat. Let us join our hearts with Jeremy Malarski, who shares concern for his brother Sean, who suffered a stroke last night and is recovering in the hospital. We also join our hearts with Jeremy Malarski in joy and healing wishes for Tracy Kenyon Malarski, who is recovering at home after outpatient surgery on her shoulder. Healing wishes and relief to you, Tracy. We join our hearts in concern for safety for all who live outside and all who do not have what they need, and particularly in prayers of well-being for the guests, staff, and volunteers of Room at the Inn, our local emergency overnight winter shelter. We join our hearts in joy for the light of the COVID-19 vaccine rolling out this last week, and for all of the photos we've seen of smiling healthcare workers receiving vaccinations. We give thanks for hope and science. And we will now share your joys and sorrows from the chat. We join our hearts in joy with Katie as they recover from surgery on their right elbow, with hope that that's the last surgery they have to endure on that arm, and prayers for relief of pain and quick healing. We join our heart with Jeff, who shares joy for Kaleidoscope's Yule ritual last night. We join our hearts with Robin, who shares joy for her 14th wedding anniversary today. We join our hearts with Rosie and Dottie as they send care to their good friend Sandy, whose husband has entered hospice care. We join our hearts with Tonette, who shares joy for the holiday treats shared by UU Churchers yesterday and time visiting. We join our hearts with Carol, who shares joy that although her sister's family contracted the virus, they all had mild cases. We join with Katie and Melissa in celebrating 20 years together as of last week. We join our hearts with Jackie in deep healing wishes for her brother-in-law quite ill with COVID. I'd like to share a prayer of love to my colleague, the Reverend Carol McIntyre, minister of First Baptist Church here in town, who lost her father this last week to COVID. We join our hearts with Stacy in sharing joy as she and Linda celebrate 25 years together tomorrow. Joan and Steve share joy and thanks for the chalice rock left on their front porch, and we all give thanks for the mysterious chalice fairy slowly making their way through the homes of our congregation here in Columbia. These things and so many more joys and sorrows, hopes and yearnings and prayers that have not been spoken aloud, but are close in heart, we hold tenderly among and between us. I finish this time with words of prayer from Lucinda Duncan. God of life and beauty, we pray for the quietness of snowflakes, knowing that love is quiet. We pray for the kindness of small acts, knowing gentleness is fragile. We are grateful to know that thoughtfulness makes no sound, that compassion leaves wonderfully beautiful traces when we open ourselves to wonder. May ours be a religion which, like the snowflake, goes everywhere in quietness and love, and with gentle regard for that which is true and beautiful in us and about us. Amen. Our hymn of response is number 101, Abide With Me, with a new third verse written by the Reverend Erica Hewitt. This hymn will be led by Leah Morris, the same artist from our prelude. She is pictured in this video sitting in a chair with her guitar. The room is sunlit and there is a large ficus tree behind her. I invite you to sing along as you are moved from home. The lyrics will be also shared in the chat.
Abide with me. Fast falls the eventide. The darkness deepens. Still with me abide. When other helpers fail and comforts flee, help of the helpless, oh, abide with me. Swift to its close, ebbs out life's little day. Earth's joys grow dim, its glories pass away. Change and decay in all around I see. O thou who changes not, abide with me. We need each other every passing hour. Channels of grace and life affirming power. Faithful companions share this path with me. Through all our fears and hopes, abide with me.
These last few weeks, I've been doing an Advent study with a few UU churchers using the book All Creation Waits by Gail Boss. Gail's beautiful book is full of simple woodcuts and beautiful reflections on the ways that animals survive the deepening cold and dark of winter. I was not previously well versed in the winter lives of animals, so spending time with this book has been full of wonder and learning for me. Evolutionary adaptation is amazing to behold, sacred. The things animal bodies know how to do are mystifying, miraculous, and totally natural. We learned about the painted turtle, who takes one last deep breath in fall and then buries itself in the mud underwater for the entire winter, slowing its heart rate and lowering its body temperature to create a stillness so profound that for months it does not require breath. It stays in this perfect stillness, suspended in this barely alive between state for months before spring brings it back into motion, back into breath and warmth and light at the surface. The black bear's hibernation is not quite so extreme, but its long solitary sleep is sustained by cozy fur and cozier fat stores. Its digestion processes halted for the winter, its body slowly burns through its own mass. Brown bats survive by finding stable climate deep in caves and then by cuddling up until they are one mass of bat, breathing very slowly together and sharing warmth. Of course, the animals live their own wild lives for their own wild sakes and not for the sake of human meaning, but it's hard not to take some wonder and wisdom from the continuing miracle of their survival. Boss writes, when that primal fear of the dark, of the end, begins to slide over us, animals unselfconsciously and forthrightly offer unfearful responses. They take in the threat of dark and cold, and they adapt in amazing and ingenious ways. They shape themselves to life as it is given. They shape themselves to life as it is given. If this year has taught me anything, it is that I had become far more accustomed to shaping life to myself rather than the other way around. And now suddenly, I can't. I am bent to the will of a tiny virus rather than bending my days to my own will. And I am thinking much more of survival, both physically and spiritually. This year, I am more attuned than I have ever been to the danger of the winter for animals and to the sure knowledge that this animality includes me. So I have been looking for adaptive wisdom. I am looking to the creatures who cannot and do not deny the cycles of the season. It is winter now, says the animal body. Slow down. Trust your appetites. Turn inward. Be still. Cozy up together. We have so many things to learn from one another, don't we? Tomorrow is the winter solstice, the shortest day followed by the longest night before we begin our tilt slowly back toward the sun. And this solstice, I am taking the darkness more seriously than ever. The darkness that can be dangerous, and that is also full of mystery and unknowing and uncertainty. But because of that is also very full of potential for new life. Across generations, human animals have survived the winter with our own instinctual wisdom by making fire for warmth and light, by helping keep one another warm with our bodies and our creative vocations and our drive to share what we have when we can, by our habit of feeding each other, and by all the ways we find coziness and beauty in the play of light and dark and in one another. This year, I am taking seriously the solstice call to stillness, to slowness and introspection, and to creating warmth and light and cozy connection in the ways we are able, and to all the ways we help keep one another warm and fed. This is our COVID winter. And across our necessary separation, all of us still need all of us to make it. With the light of a vaccine slowly rising into the sky of our futures, and the sure knowledge that we cannot skip the darkness of uncertain days that still lie ahead of us, we now turn to all we know of warmth and cooperation and human hope. In some ways, the blaring, bustling energy of summer felt a bit wrong to our pandemic circumstance, even as I was so glad for the warm weather that stuck around to let us be outside with one another much longer than in previous years we might have been. But to me, dark of winter feels like the right mood for the days we now face. Stripped this year of some of our illusions of control, we enter the winter season without artifice, but still with plenty of resources. We cannot avoid the cold and the dark, but we know in our bones how to cozy down, how to nurture and be nurtured in the womb-like dark. And I wonder if this winter, deprived of some of the bustle and fury of our usual consumer holiday cheer, might give us a deeper taste of the rich darkness than we allow most years. Bolstered by cozy blankets and bright candles and warm beverages, perhaps this year we can venture further into the dark than ever before, into the mystery, into unknowing, into a fertile in-between suspended state, maybe even into magic. This too is the promise of winter solstice. This too is the rhythm of our lives. Our next reading is by meditation teacher and author Stephanie Noble, and is an invitation to sink into the nurturing, mysterious, potential-filled darkness with curiosity instead of fear. The following video features her own voice narration and illustrations, which are grayscale paper-cut illustrations of the text, playing with light and dark, seeds and sun, stars and moon. We apologize that in testing this video, we found the audio was not as loud as we would have wished, and that we weren't able to change that, so you may need to turn your volume up on your own devices. Thanks for your understanding. Let's enjoy this reading in celebration of the winter solstice.
In celebration of the winter solstice. Why be afraid of the darkness? Dark is the rich, fertile earth that cradles the seed, nourishing growth. Dark is the soft night that cradles us to rest. Only in darkness can stars shine across the vastness of space. Only in darkness is the moon's dance so clear. There is mystery woven in the dark, quiet hours. There is magic in the darkness. We are born of this magic, and each night we return to the deep, moist womb of our beginnings. Darkness fills our dreams that root, unravel, and reweave themselves in the shelter of the deep, dark night. The dark has its own hue, its own resonance, its own breath. It fills our soul not with despair, but with promise. In the depth of darkness comes our first glimpse of our own light, the pure inner light of love and knowing. As it glows and grows, the darkness recedes. As we shed our light, we shed our fear and revel in the wonder of all that is revealed. So why rush the coming of the sun? Why crave the lengthening of the day? Celebrate the darkness here and now, a time of richness, a time of joy.
Our next song is a hymn in praise of darkness at the solstice. The words were written by Jan Aldridge Clanton to be set to the tune St. Louis, which is most commonly known as O Little Town of Bethlehem. When I was very small, my dad would sing O Little Town of Bethlehem to me as a lullaby during the Christmas season. And the tune still brings me feelings of comfort and care in my very bones and brainstem. I have recorded it for you in the rocking chair and room where I sang my own children to sleep when they were babies, in the spirit of a lullaby. I invite you now to get as cozy as you can. Curl up with a pillow, pull a blanket over your lap, or simply rest your body and sing or listen along. O holy darkness loving womb, who nurtures and creates, sustain us through the longest night with dreams of open gates. We move inside to mystery that in our center dwells, where streams of richest beauty flow from sacred living wells. Creative darkness, closest friend, you whisper in the night. You calm our fears as unknown paths surprise us with new sight. We marvel at your bounty, your gifts so full and free, unfolding as you waken us to new reality. O holy night of deepest bliss, we celebrate your power. Infuse us with your energy that brings our seeds to flower. The voice out of the darkness excites our warmest zeal to bring together dark and light, true holiness reveal. Oh, come to us, Sophia, your image black and fair stirs us to end injustice and the wounds of earth repair. The treasures of your darkness and riches of your grace inspire us to fulfill our call, our sacredness embrace. It can be a very important reframe in our culture to think of darkness as something rich and fertile and mysterious and beautiful. Not only for the gifts that it holds, but also as a step away from oppressive metaphors of darkness and light that glorify one and vilify the other. So I'd like to take a moment of contemplation with you to think of the dark nights ahead as a time of richness, as a time of nourishment, as a time of mystery and magic and wonder. I'd like to invite you into the spirit of looking ahead to the dark or looking back toward other periods into deepening darkness. And I'd like to invite you to contemplate during a time of music from Hans. What magic have you found or are you seeking in the mysterious and rich and embracing dark? If you'd like, you can share some in the chat so that we can all join together in appreciating the dark. And we'll now hear a few moments of piano from Hans while we contemplate.
Now is the time in our service when we join in the spiritual practice of generosity, guiding our hearts away from the fear and scarcity all around us, and remembering that it is by sharing and supporting one another that we feel most human. This morning's collection is for the operating funds of our congregation. We invite you to give generously to our mission of warmth to many in this time. For the warmth we bring each other even now, and for the warmth and safety of our beloved sanctuary is providing on this longest winter night for those without anywhere else to sleep. It takes all of us together to build and share this warmth and care. Let us now give as we share more beautiful music. Jeremy will introduce the offertory song.
Good morning, everyone. This song is Te Lucis ante terminum by Levente Ghinyesi, who is a Hungarian composer. This piece is the text is speaking about the closing of day and welcoming the night, and then knowing that bookended on the darkness is the light. The piece at the end, you can hear a sunrise happen right at the end of the piece to give that hope for the light that will be returning. Happy solstice, everyone, and enjoy.
Our closing words are from the Reverend Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Even now, especially now, you are not alone. We are with you across the distance. Go in blessing, dear ones, and be a blessing to a world that needs our care. And let us sing our benediction.
Now on leaving one another, may we give of hand and heart. Let us share our benediction lovingly before we part.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. Happy solstice. And I'd like to particularly invite you all to join us at 7 o'clock on Thursday for our Christmas Eve service, so you can see many beloved faces, hear all of the carols and the candlelight. We will be dropping a pre-recorded service to all of our social media channels, and we will be hosting a Zoom watch party in meeting mode so that you can see each other if you'd like as we watch together. And we'll be sending that link out again once more this week. So we'll see you for Christmas. If you're joining us for Christmas, happy solstice. And we'd love to see you at coffee hour now so that we can chat with one another and catch up. Our meeting ID is in the slide, and we will post the link in the chat. And we'd love to see you joining us to see one another's faces and chat together in coffee hour. Take care, everyone.